In the final days of his life, one of the most feared and revered swordsmen who ever lived put down his sword and picked up a brush. He had won over 60 duels, founded a school of strategy, and authored a treatise on war. Yet, with death approaching, he chose to write not another word on technique, but a simple, stark list. 21 precepts. He called it the Dokkōdō, the path of walking alone. It contains no flourish, no boast, no technique for defeating others. It is a manual for a single purpose: to defeat the enemy that walks with you every moment of your life. The enemy of a weak spirit, a confused heart, and a life lived on other people's terms. This is not a path for the many. It is a path for the one who understands that true strength is forged in solitude. Our guide on this path is Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Kensei, or sword saint, of Japan. In the spring of 1645, knowing his time was short, he retired to a cave called Reigando. There, in deep seclusion, he distilled a lifetime of combat, contemplation, and relentless discipline into these 21 rules. They are often mistaken for a checklist for productivity or minimalist living. This is a profound error. The Dokkōdō is not about doing, it is about being. It is the architectural blueprint for constructing an inner fortress so complete, so self-contained, that the opinions, the chaos, and the temptations of the world cannot breach its walls. To walk the Dokkōdō is to declare spiritual independence. Our story follows a man named Kenji, who found this list at a time when his own walls had utterly collapsed. Chapter 1. The Collapse of the Borrowed Self. Kenji lived a life of high-resolution success and low-resolution meaning. He was a partner at a prestigious firm, owned a home filled with curated objects, and maintained a social calendar that was a marvel of logistics. Yet, in the quiet between events, he felt a hollowing dread. His opinions were subtle echoes of the last influential person he spoke with. His ambitions were reflexes to societal benchmarks. His identity was a patchwork of approvals, stitched together by a desperate need to belong. He was, in the words of Zen, a drum stuffed with treasures, making noise for others, but empty within. The collapse came subtly. It wasn't a firing or a loss, but a moment of stark clarity during a vacation, surrounded by luxury, feeling utterly and completely alone. He realized with a chill that he had never, not once, made a truly independent decision. He had been a guest in his own life. This is the precise condition the Dokkōdō was written to eradicate. Musashi's first precept states, "Accept everything just the way it is." Kenji had spent a lifetime in fierce non-acceptance, trying to mold reality to the image of what he thought would bring approval. He did not accept his own nature, his own quiet preferences, his own solitude. He fought against them, layering on achievements and possessions like armor over a wound. The second precept follows, "Do not seek pleasure for its own sake." Kenji's entire life was a pursuit of pleasant sensations, status, praise, comfort, as a narcotic against that inner void. The Dokkōdō begins by severing these two fundamental cords of suffering, the resistance to what is, and the addictive chase for what feels good. For Kenji, this was not a philosophy, it was an intervention. Chapter 2. The Ruthlessness of Elimination. Armed with nothing but these two rules, Kenji began the most difficult work of his life. He began to eliminate. The Dokkōdō is a text of profound negation. Precept 4. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. This was not an invitation to self-hatred, but a surgical strike against the ego. Kenji's mind was a crowded room of self-consciousness. What did they think of me? Did I sound smart? Do I look successful? This constant internal narration was a leak that drained all his energy. To think lightly of himself meant to turn his attention outward, to engage with tasks, with art, with nature, with a problem, purely for its own sake. He started by spending an hour each evening reading philosophy. Not to quote it later, but simply to understand. He worked in his garden, focusing only on the plant, the soil, the sun. He was practicing machine, no mind, where the self and its chatter recede. He then applied this ruthlessness to his surroundings. Precept 8. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. And Precept 20. Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. Kenji saw that his home was an arsenal of weapons for a war he no longer wanted to fight. Expensive suits for intimidation, rare spirits for camaraderie, books for display. He began to give things away. Each object released was a thread of a false identity cut. This is the practical heart of the Dokkōdō. It is a path of walking alone, and you cannot walk far carrying the baggage of a life meant to impress a crowd. The solitude it prescribes is not loneliness, but the creation of a clean, empty space. In that space, for the first time, Kenji could hear his own thoughts, and at first, the silence was terrifying. Chapter 3: The Discipline of the Unswerving Heart. With the external noise fading, the internal battles truly began. The Dokkōdō now moved from elimination to the forging of an ironclad will. Precept 6: Do not regret what you have done. And Precept 7: Never be jealous. For Kenji, regret and jealousy were two sides of the same coin, a fixation on a past he could not change and a future controlled by others. He would dwell on a failed deal for weeks, a manifestation of regret. He would see a peer's success and feel a sour pang, a manifestation of jealousy. Both trapped his energy in phantom worlds. Musashi's command is to cut these bonds cleanly. Your past actions are footprints already washed away by the sea. Another's path is their own. Kenji began a practice of decisive action. When a decision was made, he would consciously close the mental file. No revisiting, no second guessing. This was not about being right. It was about being complete. This cultivation of an unswerving heart reached its peak in the central disciplines of the path. Precept 9. Do not pursue the taste of good food. Precept 10. Do not seek to possess goods or fiefs for your old age. Here, Musashi attacks the deepest anxieties, the clinging to sensory pleasure and the fear of an uncertain future. Kenji simplified his meals, not for asceticism, but to remove the tyranny of craving. He began to save and invest, not as a hoard for a future of comfort, but as a practical measure to ensure his present independence. He was learning the warrior's detachment from results. His focus shifted entirely to the quality of his actions in the present moment. Was he acting with integrity? Was his mind clear? Was his intention pure? These became his only metrics: the approval of the crowd, the security of a lavish retirement, the comfort of gourmet tastes. These were false gods, and he was systematically withdrawing his worship. Chapter 4: The Solitary Path and the World. A common fear of this path is that it creates a hermit, disconnected and cold. The Dokkōdō corrects this in its final, masterful strokes. Precept 16. When traveling, do not begrudge the distance. And Precept 17. Do not harbor resentment toward those who live differently than you. The independence forged is not a weapon against others, but a foundation for genuine, uncompromised engagement. Kenji found that as he stopped needing people, he began to truly see them. His conversations lost their transactional quality. He was no longer listening to craft a reply or win favor. He was listening to understand. He could disagree without needing to conquer. He could help without needing credit. This is the ultimate test of the solitary path. Can you walk alone, yet meet the world with compassion and without entanglement? The final precepts bring the path full circle, back to the mindset of the warrior facing mortality. Precept 19. Respect the gods and the Buddha, but do not rely on them. And the final 21st rule: never stray from the way. For Musashi, the way was not a religion, but the total, integrated life of discipline and awareness he had outlined. Kenji understood this as the final surrender of all external crutches, including spiritual ones. You do not pray for strength, you forge it. You do not ask for guidance, you cultivate the clarity to see the path. The way is the daily, moment-to-moment practice of these 21 rules. It is the relentless return to the present, the continuous pruning of distraction, the unwavering focus on action over outcome. Kenji was no longer seeking a better life. He was embodying a better way. Kenji's life from the outside looks simpler. Fewer friends, fewer things, a quieter career. But from the inside, it is immeasurably richer. The anxiety that once ruled him is now a distant memory. The decisions that once paralyzed him are now made with calm certainty. He is not happy in the fleeting sense. He is something far more durable. He is at peace. He has internalized the Dokkōdō's greatest lesson, which is never stated, but is the air the text breathes, that the only journey that matters is the one you take into the depths of your own spirit. All other paths are circumnavigations of this central solitary truth. Musashi, in his cold cave, gave us not a set of rules, but a mirror. To read the Dokkōdō is to see who you are when all the props are kicked away. And in that stark reflection, you find a simple, terrifying, and liberating choice: to continue living a borrowed life, or to pick up the blade of your own discernment and begin, step by deliberate step, to walk alone.